Good morning. Plans put on hold. See why the city stepped in and postponed approval for a potential pot shop. Plus, Greenpeace says the disposal of the recalled Samsungs could create an environmental disaster. And later, we remember our parents telling us not to waste food. Well, coming up, we're going to see what big grocery chains are doing about their leftovers. The Morning Edition starts now.
You're watching Alaska's news source, KTUU Channel 2, Anchorage. And now, Alaska's morning news leader. This is the Channel 2 News Morning Edition.
It was supposed to make history, but now a marijuana retail store in Anchorage has been put on hold. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us on this Wednesday. The Anchorage Assembly voted last night to postpone the license for Arctic Herbery in an apparent move to punish the business for handing out pot samples to potential customers a week before the city gave its stamp of approval.
I can't emphasize enough how proactive I believe this body will be in yanking the license or bringing back bad operators to answer to the community.
As you heard tonight from the body, we're telling these people we're willing to support you, willing to give you the license, but you've got to maintain the regulations we have, and I don't think this individual did.
Arctic Herbery owner Bryant Thorpe opened the doors to his retail marijuana business weeks ago without the final paperwork to sell cannabis. The subject was not originally on the Assembly agenda, but Assembly member Dick Traney brought it up during the meeting. The Assembly voted unanimously to postpone the municipal clerk from filing the license for Arctic Herbery and are calling for the owner to be reprimanded in front of the Assembly to explain his actions at an Assembly meeting 2 weeks from now. And our special series of reports called The Marijuana Countdown continues tonight with a trip to North Pole. Channel 2's Nikki Carvajal checks in with the man who goes by the name of Santa Claus about marijuana in his hometown. Although it's legal on a state level, North Pole recently outlawed commercial marijuana sales inside city limits. The man in the red suit has a surprising response to that decision. That's the Marijuana Countdown, which is tonight at 6 o'clock on the NewsHour. Time for a check of first weather with David on this Wednesday morning.
It is Wednesday already.
I see the scruff coming in already.
A little bit of scruff. MJ shows up better, though. His is dark, mine's gray, so it may take a few more days to really break out. What we're looking at statewide is temperatures well above normal, and these are forecast highs for today. And these are probably running about 10 to 15 degrees above normal for this time of the year. So we're relatively mild. The wet areas are still going to be Kodiak and out toward Cove Bay, Dutch Harbor, and Unalaska, and even getting highs above freezing up there at Barrow today. So we've got some rain kind of dotting the landscape here across the eastern Kenai through Prince William Sound, where it's been pretty heavy since Sunday. Some amounts down towards Seward and Homer have been ranging from 3 to 5 inches in just the last 4 days. So these are kind of speckled and kind of working in. And we've even had a couple of snow showers in the Susitna Valley in the overnight. So a few flakes have been flying from Hatcher Pass up toward Talkeetna, and we may see just a little bit of that this morning. Out the door, we've got numbers in the low to mid 30s across much of the area. South Anchorage at 37, Muldoon at 32. The average high for this time of the year is 30 degrees, so we're above that. And I think as we go towards 7, 8, and 9, we may dip it down just a few more, but not by much. And with snowfall, our least snowy winter on record was 2 years ago. The record amount was 5 years ago. That's a big fluctuation in a short period of time. And so far this season, we've had 2.6. So through the morning, we're going to be variably cloudy. Could be a snowflake or a little sprinkle trying to happen. A variably cloudy day, still getting temperatures well above normal. We should hit about 40. And then going through Thursday and Friday, we get progressively cooler. We're going to see some daytime highs in the mid-30s and maybe slightly colder than that for the upcoming weekend. The best chance to get some snowflakes, at least to accumulate on the ground, would be toward Monday and Tuesday. We'll be talking about that in just a moment. And of course, we'll have your updated forecast in a moment with a full 7-day outlook. And you can also get that with social media pages and KTUU.com.
And MJ right now has breaking news about an ambush attack on 2 police officers in Iowa.
That's right, Ariane. A massive manhunt is underway right now for a cop killer. Iowa police saying this morning they have a clear and present danger going on after 2 officers were killed ambush style. Now, this is all taking place near Des Moines. Now, here's what we know so far. The shootings happened 20 minutes apart. Both officers were shot while they were sitting in their police cars. Police say it appears there wasn't any interaction between the cops and the suspects, and right now they say the community is in danger.
So there's definitely some danger out there. There's somebody out there shooting police officers. We hope we find him before anybody else gets hurt. We definitely don't want anybody in the public or in the community to get hurt.
And that somebody has just been identified. It just came down. His name is Scott Michael Green. He's 46 years old. He is from Urbandale, Iowa, which is in the area of where the shooting took place. And police say that he should be considered dangerous. And we'll be following this story throughout the newscast. Ariane?
All right, in other news this morning, a drug deal turned deadly and a suspect has now pleaded guilty. Megan Pugh was originally charged with second-degree murder and has now pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter. Last December, police responded to calls of shots fired near Lewis Drive and Tudor Road. They found the body of Jeremy Taliega, Pugh's husband, Robin Porter, who died later at a local hospital from a gunshot wound. Pugh told police all three of them fired shots after a drug deal. And data about deaths in Anchorage and Alaska. New information released in a study by the UAA Justice Center gives new perspective into homicide rates. According to research from 1986 to 2015, that's a 30-year period, there were 1,194 murders in the state. Out of that number, there were 510 homicides in Anchorage. Overall, 55% of weapons used in the crime were firearms, and 70% of victims knew their killers.
That's something that people don't really realize. There's more stranger danger ideas that have sort of permeated the social mind, and unfortunately, that's not the case when we look at homicides.
The research also showed that on average from 1986 to 2015, 76% of homicides in Alaska were solved by arrest or exceptional means. Channel 2 spoke to APD homicide detective Slav Markowitz about homicide investigations in Anchorage. He says usually a case is solved in the first few days after it happens. Well, for millions of people in need, the saving grace may come from food that grocery stores can no longer sell. Channel 2's Beth Verge joins us live this morning to explain that story. Beth.
Good morning, Ariane. Well, an estimated 40% of food produced in the United States never gets consumed, and about 70 billion pounds, not million, but billion pounds of food waste comes out of the U.S. annually as well. Now, just imagine how many people that could feed. And the cure to this starts in the grocery store.
Somehow we've created the perception that produce must be perfect to be the best produce, and that's not necessarily true.
Now, Erickson works for what is now Cars, Safeway, and Albertsons. They now have a new agreement to also donate perishable items such as milk and meats to places such as the Food Bank of Alaska via Feeding America. Now, in the past, lots of places were limited in what they could donate, especially with having to keep some of those perishables cold. But the Food Bank of Alaska has identified dairy and proteins, even many frozen foods as well as other perishable products, as things it needs more of since there's such high demand for them and they can be so expensive. Now, as for the benefits of reducing food waste at home, you can save money, you can plan a little bit better, you can make this food last longer, and you can also help people in need. And if you have any questions about donating food to the Food Bank of Alaska, which you can do anytime, you can bring those products over there as they have a group of volunteers who go through all of the foods that are donated, even after they've been picked up from places such as Cars. They go through all those foods and make sure that they are high enough quality to donate to these various outlets here in the area. So they're always in need of donations, and we'll have more about this next hour of the Morning Edition.
Right, an interesting story from Beth there. Well, in headlines across the state, we head to Juneau, where folks there are going to soon see a spike in their electric bills. We're going to tell you the reason for the hike coming up. Plus, if you're an employee at Staples and you plan to go to school, well, the company wants to give you a leg up. That story in today's business news. Also in Southeast Alaska, a new study shows pollution from an abandoned Canadian mine upstream of Alaska does not harm fish, but critics aren't so sure about that. Coast Alaska News reports the Tulskwa Chief Mine is located about 40 miles northeast of Juneau and was mined for copper, zinc, lead, gold, and silver. Well, an estimated 15 tons of dissolved metals flow out of that mine each year and into the Taku River. A Fish and Game study says the pollution isn't affecting fish, but critics believe the study was incomplete since it doesn't include data on Dolly Varden char or the number of dead fish found in those waters. And MJ has some details on a missing person alert this morning. MJ.
Yeah, Anchorage police telling us this morning they are looking for a man who went missing over the weekend. Now, here's his description. His name is Liao Taui Lili. He's 25 years old, weighing about 318 pounds. He has black hair and brown eyes. He was wearing blue jeans, a black shirt, and black shoes. Now, police say last Saturday he told his girlfriend he was riding out to Wasilla with a friend. He never came home. Anyone with information is asked to call Anchorage Police at 786-8900 or Crime Stoppers at 907-561-STOP. Ariane?
Greenpeace is blasting Samsung for not giving details on how it will dispose of millions of recalled Galaxy Note 7s. The environmental group says dumping the phones would create enough toxic waste to fill about 28 shipping containers. Samsung halted sales of Note 7s last month after reports of the devices bursting into flames. The company says it sold upwards of 3 million Note 7s worldwide. Greenpeace is urging Samsung to recycle as much of the smartphone parts as possible. The company said it was looking at Greenpeace's assertions but did not comment on them. And right now, MJ has another alert from the Anchorage Police Department.
Yeah, Ariane, 2 more searches underway this morning. The first one is for an armed robbery suspect. Police say he walked into the Tudor Road Office Depot with a gun yesterday afternoon. He stole several items and then pointed a handgun at the employee. He then walked out. Now, here is the description from police. Police say he's a white male in his 20s with longer black hair and looks disheveled. He was wearing a black sweater, black jeans, and he was carrying a backpack. Now, here's the information on the other search. This is for an escaped inmate. His name is Aaron Neal Cox. He's 33 years old, about 5 feet tall and 200 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. He escaped from the Cordova Center on Monday. Now, anyone with information is asked to call Anchorage Police at 786 or Crime Stoppers at 561-STOP. Ariane?
Well, right now, MJ has some new information this morning about a migrant move out of France. MJ.
Ariane, the move is on right now for the stranded migrant children in France. French authorities began moving this morning 1,500 minors housed at the country's jungle migrant camp. Now, so far, 650 minors have been moved, and the remaining are scheduled to leave in the next few hours. They will be spread out among 60 processing centers where officials from the UK Home Office will assess their situation and decide whether they should be settled in Britain, which is where they were trying to get. The children had been living in shelters made from converted shipping containers at this makeshift camp known as the Jungle in the town of Calais. Ariane?
All right, another news across the state, and Kenai Man has been sentenced for stealing people's identities to create false law enforcement and government documents. 42-year-old David Henry will spend just over 5 years in prison after he illegally obtained people's names, social security numbers, birth dates, and other personal information to create fake military intelligence and law enforcement IDs. Now, some of the fake documents include ID cards for the FBI, CIA, Department of Defense, U.S. Marine Corps, and the VA. Henry, a convicted felon, also pled guilty to illegally possessing an AR-15 assault rifle and 3 semi-automatic pistols. And right now, those new developments that are coming in about Syria and Russia, MJ has those details. MJ.
Yeah, Ariane, pressing pause. Russia has just offered a new humanitarian pause on airstrikes in Syria, specifically Aleppo. Now, the message coming from the Russian Defense Ministry. He's urging rebels to use this pause to get out of the city. The areas the rebels are to use are the aid corridors, which Russia had just reopened. Now, it and 2 new exit routes will be opened on Friday as well. This is for both civilians and rebels, quote, according to the minister, in order to prevent a senseless loss of life. Ariane?
All right, thanks, David. Well, new details just released about what may have happened to Malaysia Flight 370. We're going to send it over to MJ.
Yeah, that's right. Plunging out of control towards the sea. That's what a new report says this morning about the last communication from that flight. Now, the analysis comes from the Australian Transport Safety Bureau, and it gives the clearest picture yet of the missing jet's final moments in March of 2014 as it descended at up to 25,000 feet per minute. Now, one aviation expert is saying this morning the report rules out the theories that the pilot was flying the plane in its final moments. More than 20 items of debris have been found, but only 3 have been confirmed as from Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Ariane?
All right, thanks, MJ. Right now, let's bring in MJ with an update on that cop killer manhunt that's been going on in Iowa. MJ.
Ariane, police have just released a picture of that suspect. They say that this is the man Iowa police say is the cop killer. His name is Scott Michael Green. He's 46 years old. Green was last seen driving a blue Ford pickup truck with Iowa license plate. We're having some technical difficulties. We'll get you that picture. Police believe that he is armed and considered dangerous. They say that he is the man who carried out the ambush-style attack on the cops this morning. The Today Show will have much more on this coming up after the morning edition. Ariane?
All right, thanks, MJ. Well, some things to know before you go this morning on a Wednesday. Remember, you can already go out and vote before Election Day next week. Early voting does begin October 24th statewide, and you can vote all weekend as well. Head to our website for locations for you, as well as information on those races in your area. And tonight, you can learn about one of those House races that's heating up. Is District 28, currently held by Representative Mike Hawker, and he is up against Democrat Shirley Coate and Republican Jennifer Johnston. Tonight on the NewsHour, we're going to learn what each candidate is focusing on as people prepare to fill out their ballots. And while you're at it, you can also tune in to the next part of our special series of reports called the Marijuana Countdown that will air at 6. Channel 2's Nikki Carvajal is going to check in with the man who goes by the name Santa Claus and hear what he has to say about marijuana in his hometown.
There's a joke there somewhere about elves not being as productive or something. Should they have it there? But I don't know where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something there.
On a Wednesday, I know I keep thinking Tuesday, but the only way I know is because we did morning mug shots yesterday. So
I know it's hard to keep up for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
All right, we'll give cheers to.
And we're actually, we'll get that picture of the suspect they're looking for on our website.
Cheers to a Wednesday, everyone.
You bet.
Make
Cheers
it a great
to you.
day. We'll
Cheers.
see you back tomorrow.